So thanks for doing this. This is great. So how are things in London today?
In terms of what?
Well, I guess in terms of vibe and what it feels like as a working musician to be in London.
Things feel like, I mean, they feel normal in terms of the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah, like everything's normal. Yeah, it's been like that for a long time, like the 6 months at least of it being pretty normal. So yeah, I mean, things are good. Yeah, we've recently moved into a new studio last week or 2 weeks ago. So we've basically been like decorating our new studio and
nice.
Just like we used to have a tiny room and now we've got like a big room.
Well, you need a big room. There's 8 of you.
I know, but we used to fit into a room, like tiny room. It was horrible. We basically couldn't really practice in there. And this, on the other side of the corridor, we're in like an industrial estate, and on the other side of the corridor there used to be a Greek restaurant and like kitchen, and they moved out. So someone built that. Yeah, our friend built us a room in their old kitchen.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's really good. It's really nice. It's like so nice. We've got like a proper space now.
So my understanding is that the Caroline started out being kind of built around 3 of you, Casper, Jasper, and Mike, and then it grew into this 8-piece band. So maybe you can tell us how that happened.
That happened kind of incrementally over quite a few years. It was like a thing of people joined for specific part in order to play specific parts in certain songs. So we basically like we would work on something as a 3 and then be like, oh, actually it would be like good to like have some violin in this maybe. And then like we knew so many people from like Manchester and London, and just from growing up like in near Brighton, that we knew so many people who played, and we'd already played with a lot of those people before. So yeah, it just got added slowly but surely. And then it kind of settled on 8 of us in I guess around the start of the pandemic. The pandemic kind of fixed the lineup really.
Right. Yes. Sometimes it takes outside influences to make things happen, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and to kind of like preserve, to kind of like actually fixed it, because otherwise like you kind of just, I think it was also part of us like not taking the project like, well, basically, before like we got the signing happened, I guess like the project was still very like open and kind of like, and it still is open, like it's still kind of like it's not been fixed in a bad way. It's just like, I think we were kind of like, we didn't even think of ourselves as like a proper band. So we kind of just like added people, like people just joined and played on some songs and didn't play on other songs, and it was all quite kind of open.
Right.
And then when the signing happened, we were like, oh yeah, okay, so we're now like a band. And we've got to like have a lineup of people, I suppose. I mean, we didn't really think about it like this, but I think it just became fixed.
Yeah. So when the 3 of you got together initially, was it what brought you together, and what kind of discussions did you have about the kind of music you wanted to make together?
I think like me and Casper had been playing music together for a long time in Manchester, and had basically we went on holiday to France, and then when we were on holiday in France, we were moving to London together, like both to study, and we were like, we should do the band we should like do a proper band, like, or we should commit to practicing every week,
right,
just the 2 of us. And so we started playing every week, and we were making this like very like different music to Caroline, just like very like, it was experimental in a way that I liked. It was like it was very like genuinely trying to do something, trying new things out. And it was just guitar and drums, and Casper was like shouting, speaking, and it was much more like harsh. And we were playing every week. And then I knew Mike from growing up in we used to play folk music together. So Mike, I think me and Casper were like, oh yeah, maybe Mike should join, because like it'd be good to have another guitar.
Right.
And then as soon as Mike joined, I think that's when like Caroline started.
Right.
The music before that, when it was just me and Casper, wasn't really at all related to Caroline. But yeah, Caroline kind of started then, even though we didn't have a name for like a long time. And yeah, we basically like, yeah, we didn't have any plans or designs. We just improvised together as a three. And we kind of, I mean, the improvisation was quite different to what it's like now. Like it was much more tonal and harmonically kind of conventional than the improvisation we do now is more like fractured and stuff. But yeah, we just like repeat things for hours just as a three. We just play the same thing
Right.
for like hours, and like we didn't really have like dynamics. We just like played something at the same intensity for like a long time. And that was like the song Dark Blue and the song Good Morning, two songs from the record.
Right.
Both, yeah, we wrote those both songs within the first like month of starting playing as a three. We wrote them really fast, and they're both based around guitar parts of Casper's, and then me playing drums and just singing a repeated thing over the top, and then Mike doing like another guitar. But yeah, we didn't have any the whole thing, we never had a plan to make music that sounded like Caroline does now or have that many people in it.
Right.
We just added people and it became what it was. There was never any like design. It was just the whole thing was an improvisation, if you know what I mean. It was all kind of, yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, it seems like you assembled fairly unobvious music genres to come together. There's emo, there's folk, there's classical. I mean, you can't get much more desperate than those three. You can throw maybe a little country and Western in there if you wanted to, or some jazz. But so what made you think that was going to work?
I guess we didn't like see them. We didn't see those influences as being like, we didn't in the composition process. We weren't like, oh, let's have a bit of like jazz, or like, let's have a bit of like classical now. Like we never like thought of it in terms of genres.
Right.
I think there were probably just like shared elements in all of in like a few, like maybe like it was all just about like what would create interesting contrasts and what would create interesting like moods and ambiences at specific points in pieces. So like I think like the combination of like free improvised like strings, like very atonal like improvised strings with like softly played like chords on acoustic guitar just makes sense as a combination in our eyes. But like actually I suppose you could break it down into like, oh yeah, that's like folk music and like free improvisation coming together. But like obviously we didn't think about it like that. We thought about it like, we just thought about it as a kind of like they were complementary on a kind of affective level, and they did something when you put them together.
Right.
So yeah, I guess like, yeah, it's more about the kind of like the music, the kind of, yeah, the effective quality of the music basically, rather than planning it. It wasn't really like, it's hard to, I know, do you know what I'm getting at?
Gotcha. Well, interestingly, the songs themselves are not conventional song structures. There's no verse, chorus, bridge, whatever, middle eight in any of those songs. So were you thinking about how an audience would react to them when you were making these, or was that not in your mindset?
I think we probably were. Yeah. I think like you're always like, because you're kind of like, you're always experiencing the thing you're making as you're making it. Do you know what I mean? So you're kind of a bit of an audience to yourself to an extent, right, like as you're playing. So like, I guess so. Like, I guess like, I think there was also always a thing that neither me or Casper, who would normally bring the initial idea, even if it's something so small. It was never a song, but an initial chord or two chords. Neither of us ever could write or would write things that were more than like two chords or one chord. And I guess that just meant that like you can't like having like choruses and verses and things like that. And we never really wrote lyrics. Like we never really interested in lyrics. So we just start with a little fragment and just go with that. But yeah, like yeah, I suppose like I am like we were interested in not making conventional songs, and I suppose like, but it wasn't like a kind of like manifesto principle of the project.
Right.
It kind of came about through technical limitations of what we were able to do on our instruments, and our backgrounds, just not being really interested in songs, never having written them.
Right.
Yeah, but they are the things that we have made now are still songs. I don't think of them as like pieces. Like,
right.
They are still songs. They just don't follow the conventional format.
Right. Now you have toured with these already, performed them live around the UK.
Yeah.
How did that work?
Yeah, that was it was good. I mean, yeah, some of them are easier to do live than other ones, I guess.
Right.
Like some of them are really easy to do live. Like they're like the earlier ones in particular, like Dark Blue, things like that. And Skydiving Onto the Library Roof, which is like another single.
Yep.
They're like those recordings, the album recordings are basically just live recordings of us doing them, that there aren't many overdubs.
Right.
So those are kind of quite easy to replicate. But yeah, some of the other ones where we've kind of collaged together multiple different recordings which weren't, and it's like actually the songs were basically composed in the production process, rather than being, they were never like the engine eavesdropping, which is like the 6th track, I think, was like, that was kind of collaged together in the studio and was never written live. So that was harder to do.
Is that when that engine eavesdropping gets very noisy at the end? What's going on there? It's like,
yeah, it's basically like, I mean, that song is like a recording we made in the swimming pool. There's a video of us playing in a swimming pool, which we made a couple of years ago, and we went and recorded, like, we basically recorded a whole version of that engine eavesdropping song, all the quiet bits at the start. We recorded that all in the pool one time, and then we basically just like overdubbed like an improvisation that me, Mike, and Casper did on 2 electric guitars and drums. And so the two things, like, we never recorded the initial thing in the pool imagining that we would add all this other stuff, but we ended up just like, we just worked on it separately and just kind of added it over the top. So it's kind of 2 things happening at once. But yeah, like, we had to figure out a way of playing that live, which was quite hard. And like, I still that sometimes I'm like, I feel like it could be better, the live version. But it is, I do like it, but we really tried to just do it like the recording. And I kind of think sometimes I'm like, yeah, maybe we should just like not worry about the recorded version and just try and do the best version for live. But it's kind of hard, because when you've made something, you're so used to how the recording sounds.
Yep. And of course, there's audience expectation as well. How has the audience reacted to the live versions?
Well, I guess they don't know the recorded version because it hasn't been released yet. But like, yeah, I guess people like it. I mean, it's one of the loudest parts of the set. It's like the loudest bit. So maybe it's nice. It's a nice contrast to like the other softer parts.
Sure.
Just having this like really loud bit.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned videos for a couple of tracks, and I noticed like on Skydiving and IWR, there's a lot of static shots that just kind of are sitting there and observing something. How involved are you guys in the visual presentation of the songs?
Yeah, I mean, we made both those videos. We shot them, and actually, I suppose for the skydiving video, we had a cameraman filming it, but yeah, we directed both of them.
Right.
And yeah, we care about it a lot. I mean, the most recent video, Good Morning Red, that we didn't film, we didn't do that one. But yeah, basically all the other ones we've done ourselves, and it is really important to us. I mean, I think basically like we're struggling a bit now because we like the 3 of us like kind of like organizing the rest of the 8-piece, and also trying to direct all our own videos and like organize the tours and everything is like
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, so we've had to delegate. That's why we got someone else to do the most recent video. But yeah, generally we really like, it's really important to us how the songs are visually presented, and we really care about it. Like we're not really like, I don't know, like, although they have been, I think like the label will like want you to do like music videos.
Yeah.
And they are still music videos, these, but like, I guess we've tried to like make them more kind of, I don't know, push them a bit into slightly different territory. And I think in the future we'd be interested in like making longer videos with maybe smaller bits of music within them and like things like this, and like making longer kind of like short film things. But yeah, it's really important, I think.
All right. Now, speaking of Good Morning Red, which is one of the videos, me being a guy who listens to a lot of music for a long time, I like to hear other things inside it. And I definitely heard, to me, some Pink Floyd in there.
Really?
Yeah, but that, I could be completely off base. But is that stuff that you draw from, or is that completely nuts?
I don't know. It's not nuts. None of it's nuts. No, I mean, I don't know any. I don't know any Pink Floyd. I think
I think it was the screaming. There was a disjointed screaming voice in there that kind of reminded me of something from The Wall or something.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I don't know any.
That's just fine.
Yeah, like, it's not for any reason. It's just like, I just haven't really ever listened to it, and I'm not sure. Yeah, right. Like maybe it is an influence in there somewhere, but like, yeah, not actively. I don't think.
So what stuff did you listen to get to where you are? What was your influences?
A lot of different things, really. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of things over the years. It's been a long time of us listening to music as a three. But like, yeah, I guess like we listened to a lot of like quite a lot of like American, like 90s American, like slowcore and like emo music.
Right.
Bands like Codeine and Bedhead and things like that. I suppose we listened to quite a lot of that, and like, but that was more in the past. I mean, that was probably more like,
well, that's where that stuff usually stays with you, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's definitely what we were interested in at the start of the project, like 4 or 5 years ago. We were listening to a lot more kind of like, and probably more like shoegazy stuff, although maybe I probably was listening to that more like 8 years ago, but
right.
But still, definitely that was in there. And then over the years it's kind of progressed. I think like we started listening, me and Mike played a lot of folk music when we were like teenagers, when we were growing up, and I think we started re-listening to some of that in the last like 3 years, which I think was important and influent, and it's always influential, American and English folk. And then, yeah, like in more recent times, we've kind of got into like, a lot of like free improvised music, of lots of different sorts. Like there's a good scene for it in London. So like going to see things at like Cafe Otto in London. And yeah, and like a lot of like hyper pop as well, like a lot of like like recent like Sophie and like PC music things have also been like, I wouldn't say they influence Caroline that much, but they like our music that we all love.
Right. Yep. I noticed that the way the album is kind of put together, there are a series of shorter instrumental tracks that kind of are interspersed with some of the longer things. So what's behind that? What was the thought process?
I think like, yeah, we had all of these like smaller demos and like iPhone recordings. And we always have so many of them, just like sitting in our kind of like archive of stuff. And I think like I guess we're just interested in like having like a real range of like types of recording quality, and also like just like much more simple kind of single like one layer kind of pieces, rather than like 50 layers or whatever. So like we're just interested in having a range of stuff, and like having short things interspersed amongst the long things, kind of it kind of broke up the long things, and it kind of they recontextualized the longer pieces, and they kind of provide a break. And like in terms of like making like a kind of overall listening experience for the whole record, I think we thought like they have a useful role,
right?
Basically,
because like hurdle sounds kind of like clocks chiming, and zilch sounds like a zither. I don't know if they are or whatever, but yeah.
No, they're not.
Different
They're
sounds.
Just
it sounds like
yeah. They're just like, I mean, Hurtle is just like it's an iPhone demo.
Oh, really?
It's an iPhone demo played through an amp in a really big hall, like in this like really big hall in London, in East London, like an old church. So it's basically, actually no, it's an old gym. It's a gym. Yeah, it's like a gymnasium.
Yep.
So it's basically like the iPhone demo played through a kind of blown out amp with like some distortion on it, and then like recorded in this big room. And then Zilch is basically just another iPhone. It's another iPhone demo, or an acoustic guitar. It's not. Yeah, it's just an acoustic guitar with. I mean, we did a load of stuff to it in production. Yeah, John Murphy, who mixed the record. He actually did some really good bits of additional like production stuff on that track in particular. But yeah, I like them. I always forget about them because I was thinking about the longer songs, but I'm just like, oh yeah, I do like them. Like they play their role.
Right. And as you can probably tell, I'm a video or a vinyl kind of guy. I see you some kind of limited vinyl release that you're doing on the record as well, right?
Yeah. 2 versions, I think. 2 limited versions, and then one. I think it's 2. There's 3 versions in total, maybe 4.
Oh, okay.
I think. Yeah. There's one with a poster that I drew, which comes with it, which I think is like and a red vinyl, and I think that's like the Japanese import edition. It's like the Rough Trade web store edition or something.
Right.
But yeah, did a poster for that, and then like there's another one which is like the Dinked edition, which I think is the one which has like an extra 7-inch with like some recordings on it. Yeah, sounds
like fun. And speaking of Rough Trade, aren't you playing there in a couple of days?
Yeah, we're playing there on Friday.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that in the store?
Yeah, in Rough Trade East. Yeah, so it's not part of the record label. It's kind of a separate thing. It's like the record shop. Then they're not actually connected anymore.
Gotcha.
So it's like Rough Trade East. It's in East London. It's in Brick Lane. But yeah, it's like an in-store thing.
And how many of you will be playing it in the store?
Oh, 8 of us.
Oh, I hope it's a big store.
Yeah, we're playing in the middle of the store on the floor. So we're playing like amongst all the shelves. Should be good.
It should be good. That'd be awesome.
I'm up for playing on the floor rather, because they've got a stage, but I think we're just going to do it. We're doing it because we normally play in a circle with everyone around.
Right.
So we normally play in the middle like that, and then everyone plays like some stands. Yeah.
Very good. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I hope so.
All righty. Well, thank you very much for talking to me. You shouldn't be yawning because it's 11:30 at night here. I didn't want you to be yawning, but
yeah, I don't know why I'm yawning. Strange. I just suddenly feel extremely tired. But no, I think it's just don't know.
Yeah, life. And the record is about to be released, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I'm so excited.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Marty.
Time.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, see you soon.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.